What if I told you there was an MLB team that won the World Series even though they seemingly couldn't pitch? Crazy, right? Well, in 2006, the St. Louis Cardinals did exactly that. All season long, their pitchers were average at best, ranked in the bottom half of the league in most pitching categories, and entered the playoffs with by far the weakest pitching staff. So how did a team that struggled to pitch all season win baseball's most coveted trophy? Well, in order to find out, we must first set the stage. In 2006, the Cardinals were coming off 2 gut-wrenching playoff exits. In 2004, they led baseball with 105 wins, had 3 top 5 MVP finishers, and were the clear favorite to win it all. They took down the Los Angeles Dodgers in the divisional series, then overcame a 3-2 deficit against the Houston Astros in the championship. But when meeting up with the Boston Red Sox for the final battle, they were unable to finish the job. Then the following season, it was more of the same. Cy Young winner Chris Carpenter and MVP winner Albert Pujols propelled them to the MLB best record for the 2nd straight year. This time though, they were bested in the championship series. As a result, manager Tony La Russa was starting to receive criticism due to his inability to get his team over the hump. The ice beneath him was wearing thin, and it didn't help that entering 2006, the Cardinals were a clear candidate to regress. Some of their key players departed for various reasons, a few lineup regulars were now entering their 30s, and as the season began, it was clear their pitching staff was going to give them problems. It was a worry in spring training as they lost starter Matt Morris, key setup man Julian Tavares, and other lockdown relievers. However, their biggest loss was the decline in production from their starting rotation. In 2005, the 3 of Jason Marquis, Mark Mulder, and Jeff Supin were a solid trio, combining for over 600 innings with a 3.79 ERA. With these 3 coming back, there was reason to be excited, but that quickly faded as they struggled to produce at the same level. In fact, by the All-Star break, each of them ranked in the bottom 8 for ERA among qualified starters. Surprisingly though, the Cardinals were playing winning baseball, leading the NL Central by 4 games. The reason behind their success was thanks to a 3-man show. First off, Albert Pujols. Ever since he made his MLB debut 6 years prior, he was without question the best first baseman in baseball. And in 2006, it was no different, as he finished the first half of the season toward the top in each major offensive category. And stood across from him on the diamond was another player enjoying an elite first half, Scott Rowland. Coming off shoulder surgery and just 56 games in 2005, there was skepticism about whether or not he would be able to return to his elite ways, especially entering his age 31 campaign. But as the season began, he immediately made people forget about his disappointing 2005 campaign with his typical eye-catching plays at the hot corner, and his bat was at the same level, hitting .331 with an over 900 OPS. These 2 were the main contributors for the offense, which lacked punch outside of them. And finally, on the other side of the ball stood ace Chris Carpenter. After 6 mediocre seasons with the Blue Jays, he broke out with the Cardinals, and backed it up by winning the Cy Young Award the following year. With the rest of the rotation struggling, tremendous pressure was placed on him to continue his dominance. And thankfully for them, he was able to, excelling with the 8th lowest ERA among qualified starters. Together, this trio was the only reason that the Cardinals were above water, but as the season began to creep into the later months, it became harder and harder to do it all themselves, resulting in a 7-game losing streak from September 20th to the 26th, shrinking their lead from 7 games down to just 1.5, with 4 left to play. From this point on, every contest was a must-win, but as their game against the Padres unfolded, it looked increasingly likely that they would squander their first-place position, trailing 2-1 entering the bottom of the 8th. With the Astros going on to beat the Pirates the same day, a loss would be devastating for their playoff hopes. But then, a rally started to form.
Here comes a 3-1 pitch to Sotaguchi, and that's ball 4.
Aaron Miles kept it going.
3-0 pitch, and he walked him.
But after Chris Duncan was retired for the 2nd out of the inning, it was all up to one man. It just so happened that it was big bad Albert Pujols.
Batting 101 up in there.
Albert out to deep left. Oh, yeah! Number 47 in the Big Mac land.
Pujols had already hit 46 home runs that year, but this one was by far his biggest, helping the Cardinals clinch the division a few days later with just an 83-78 record, a tally which would have finished fourth in 2 other divisions. Combine this with the fact that they ended the year losing 9 of 12 games meant nobody truly respected them entering the playoffs. But could you blame them? This team was one of the weakest to ever play in October. Their offense lacked star power outside of their 2 studs, and on the pitching side, it was even worse. It was truly just a one-man show, with 5 other starters maintaining an ERA above 5. Despite this though, the Cardinals showed no sign of distress, stating, "Alright, we'll be the underdogs all day long."
There he goes, and there it goes, to deep left center field, back, gone!
It was ace versus ace to start the series, but only one offense came ready to fight.
Hit well, Blum's not going to get that. Molina comes through, Belliard scores, and it's 5-0 St. Louis.
5 runs was all Carpenter and the bullpen needed to take a dominant Game 1 victory. Entering the series, it was thought that if they didn't win Carpenter's start, there was going to be a slim chance that they would advance. But besides him, the team actually played well. The offense, which was described as sickly in September, came through numerous times with runners on base to put 5 runs past Jake Peavy. But with the Game 2 matchup boasting 2-time World Series winner David Wells versus Jeff Weaver, most anticipated the Padres would even up the series. Instead, what actually unfolded was a game dominated by the pitchers.
Walker, Gonzalez, Pujols doubled up. David Wells, so far, so good.
Whatever Wells was doing, Weaver was doing it even more efficiently.
Nicely by Belliard. Eckstein return to Pujols, double play.
These two kept the score knotted at 0 through 3 innings, but the second time through the order, Wells found trouble.
He's making some pitches when he has to, but he's tough. He's trying to ball well too.
All right, Boach, thank you. We gave you bad luck there because the ball and over the head of Dave Roberts.
Allowing a double to lead off the inning was going to be tough to overcome, especially as Pujols stepped up to the plate. Entering the game, there was talk that if he came up to bat with a runner on, it would be best to give him a free pass. Being the veteran Wells was, he didn't like that thought, stating, "I've never been a guy to shy away from anyone. He's very respectable and can be a one-man show at times. But to me, that's where I get recognition too, is by getting guys like him out." It was a battle of old school versus new school, but only one would come out victorious.
Pujols sharply hit to left to Roberts, and they're going to send Preston Wilson to throw. Trying to be cut off, and now between first and second, Pujols hung up. But there's nobody at second.
As he had done in the opener, Pujols was the one to break the game open, and with no outs still in the inning, the Cardinals weren't done yet.
Edmonds up the middle, diving is Walker, but he can't make the play.
2 runs. During the regular season, they won just 40% of games when scoring that many. Therefore, it was clear that they would need to keep building their lead if they wanted to win. However, Weaver stayed locked in, refusing to give up any ground.
Struck him out.
Weaver lasted 5 solid innings, striking out 3 batters, but most importantly, allowing 0 runs to cross. And the bullpen did much of the same, continuing to put zeros on the scoreboard for the rest of the night.
Strike 3. Branyan gone. Padres gone. St. Louis gone to home with a 2-0 lead. Wow.
Rookie Adam Wainwright put the finishing touches on a masterful pitching performance by the Cardinals, as 5 pitchers combined to shut out the Padres at their home ballpark. Now heading to St. Louis, it was going to take a miracle for the Padres to claw their way back. But in Game 3, they took a step in the right direction, as a big 3-run inning was all they needed to get a glimmer of hope in the series.
Done well against Trevor. Another changeup, and this ball game is over. The Padres have survived. There will be a Game 4.
To the naked eye, it was just 1 loss, but when digging deeper, you start to understand that there were massive implications behind this defeat. You see, by forcing Game 4, Carpenter was now required to pitch again in the series, meaning he would be unavailable to pitch the opener in the next round. It was a card La Russa didn't want to use, but he handed the ball to Carpenter for Game 4, confident that he would lead them one step closer to the World Series.
White is not going, and he takes the pitch up for strike 3. Tapper over the mound. Billiard knows who's running. He'll charge that ball and throw out Robert. A 1-2-3, 7th inning. The Cardinals 6 outs away.
After a shaky first inning in which he allowed 2 runs, he settled down nicely, tossing 6 straight scoreless frames before exiting with a 4-run lead, and a loud cheer by the Cardinals fans.
And another big league effort by Carpenter tonight.
He was by far the best pitcher on the team, but in his absence stood 2 capable relievers who finished the job.
Breaking ball on the ground, the Pujols, and for the 3rd straight year, the St. Louis Cardinals advance to the National League Championship Series.
For the 3rd straight year, the Cardinals celebrated a divisional round victory, but this time things were different. They were no longer the big guys. Now they had nothing to lose, and they kept that mindset heading into their championship series bout against the New York Mets, a group miles better than them. They scored more runs, allowed less, and overall had 14 more wins during the regular season. But the most interesting part about their team was their diversity. Sure, they had young stars in shortstop Jose Reyes and third baseman David Wright, but also a healthy dose of veteran leaders such as outfielder Carlos Beltran, closer Billy Wagner, and starter Tom Glavine, just to name a few. Manager Willie Randolph leaned into his veteran experts by tagging Glavine for Game 1. At this point in his career, he had the 2nd most postseason starts and the 3rd most wins. He had seen it all and knew exactly how to combat the Cardinals lineup.
Couldn't start any better for the 40-year-old left-hander.
He was making guys over 10 years younger than him look silly.
Green is there. Glavine has pitched a shutout through 6.
He only threw 89 pitches, but finished off 7 scoreless frames, allowing the Mets to take a narrow 2-0 win in the opener.
A little floater, Valentine out, and the Mets win Game 1. A 4-hit shutout pitched by Glavine, Mota, and Billy Wagner.
From the Cardinals' perspective, it wasn't pretty. They were unable to generate any offense all night long, with 4 hits, all of which singles. The silver lining, though, came when Carpenter was tagged to start Game 2. If anyone were to get them back on track, it would surely be him, right? Wrong.
Here's the 1-1. Delgado lifts it in the air to left center field, pretty deep. Edmonds going back at the wall. It is gone! A 3-run homer for Carlos Delgado!
After being touched up for 3 runs in the first inning, Cardinals fans hoped he would settle down the same way he did against the Padres. But instead, the Mets kept piling it on.
Base hit, 4-2.
4 runs, the most he had ever given up in a playoff start. And the worst part was the Mets weren't done just yet.
Delivers the payoff pitch. Fastball into the air, left field. Duncan going back at the warning track. Duncan at the wall, he jumps. It's gone! A home run!
6 runs was going to be tough to overcome. Incredibly though, the Cardinals offense started to come alive too. Yadier Molina cashed in 2 runs in the 2nd inning, and in the following, Jim Edmonds brought in 2 more with a blast over the left center field wall. But they needed more, down 6-4 in the top of the 7th. With Pujols due up 3rd, the recipe for success was simple: get on base.
0-2 pitch. Valentine to his right, picks it up with a backhand.
A little bit. He's swinging at some pitch a little bit out of his zone, over anxious.
Easy play for Chavez and left 2 out.
Pujols had come through numerous times with runners on base, but now with 2 outs and nobody on, it was up to him to get the rally started.
This is empty. 0 for 5.
Pitches that he normally doesn't.
Pujols fouled off pitch after pitch. Then, on the 11th of the at-bat, he finally made the breakthrough.
Last 2 games.
Hard hit and down the left field line. The first hit of this series for Pujols. Played well by Chavez. And Pujols has a 2-out single. Taking a walk. giving Spezio a chance. 2-run New York lead. And a fly ball into right field. Back is Green in the corner, and this ball is played off the wall. 2 runs are going to score.
Despite being down to his final strike, Scott Spezio came through with a clutch 2-run knock to tie the game. An impressive feat after starting the inning with 2 outs. But what was even more unbelievable was their success against Wagner in the 9th.
And Taguchi hits one into left field, back at the wall. This ball is gone. So Taguchi.
Then they scored even more.
Spezio hits it fair down the right field line. Pujols scores. And Encarnacion grounds one through the right side. Spezio coming to the plate. Sean Green does not make the throw.
Scoring 1 run off a future Hall of Fame closer is impressive on its own. 3 was hard to believe. In fact, So Taguchi, the player who hit the game-winning shot, said, "Who's expecting that I hit a home run? Nobody, not even me." For reference, he hit just 2 homers in 361 trips to the plate during the regular season. But that's what made the Cardinals so threatening. They weren't the flashiest and were certainly not favored, yet each and every night they went to the ballpark ready to put everything on the line. If they lost like they did in Game 4, they quickly flushed it away and rebounded with a victory like they did in Game 5. It's the type of mindset that results in successful teams. And they were surely going to put it to work as the series turned toward a daunting winner-take-all Game 7, the moment every ballplayer dreams of, a time when every play bears immense weight. One mistake and you'll be remembered for it for the rest of your life, while on the other hand, a chance to become the hero for an entire city.
7th tonight. He hits it in the air to left field. Back is Chavez. At the wall, this ball is gone. And St. Louis takes a 3-1 9th inning Game 7 lead.
As mentioned, the playoffs are where legacies are written, and for Yadier Molina, it was his moment of redemption. After a regular season marked by struggles, he was now the hero, delivering the swing that sent the Cardinals to the World Series.
Breaking ball struck him out, and the Cardinals have won the pennant.
It took a collective team effort to get past the Padres, and an even bigger one to advance past the Mets. But now in the World Series, they face their biggest challenge yet, the Detroit Tigers, a team headlined by the best pitching staff in baseball. They had veteran ace Kenny Rogers, backed by rookie ace Justin Verlander. Not to mention in the bullpen, Joel Zumaya was one of the best relievers in the game. But that was all on paper. As Pujols mentioned, "I don't care what happened during the season. This is the playoffs. If you win the World Series, no one cares." He was absolutely right. Once playoffs start, every stat gets reset. It's a fresh battlefield where past glory means nothing, and the moment belongs to whoever fights the hardest.
No RBI. And he hits one into left field. Back at the track, at the wall. It's a 1-1 game.
Pujols tacked on another the following inning.
Second, 2 out. And Albert Pujols hits one into deep right field. Back at the wall. It is gone.
With 7 runs from the offense, the Cardinals were able to take a comfortable Game 1 victory.
Only once and is 1-2. Flied into center field, and that will end Game 1 as Edmonds puts it away.
Game 1 was about as perfect as it could have gone for the Cardinals. After surrendering the lead, they fought back quickly with multiple big innings, giving starter Anthony Reyes time to settle into his outing, going 8+ frames, allowing 2 runs. For the season, he struggled with an above 5 ERA in 15 starts. Yet on the biggest stage, he transcended into an ace, much like the rest of the pitching staff. In fact, during the series, they allowed just 11 runs in 5 games. Everyone just seemed to click at the right time. And as you'd expect with this elite production out of their pitchers, the offense was able to do enough as the Cardinals shocked the world by winning the World Series.
For the first time since 1982, St. Louis has a World Series winner.
During the regular season, the Cardinals were one of the worst pitching teams, ranking 20th in the entire league and by far the worst among the playoff teams. But the beauty of October baseball is that everyone, no matter their regular season, all starts at the same place. For the Cardinals, they took this fact to heart, with numerous pitchers getting hot when it mattered most. Chris Carpenter, Jeff Weaver, Jeff Supin, and Anthony Reyes were a dominant rotation, combining for a 2.63 ERA across 16 starts. Supin even won NLCS MVP after allowing only 1 run in 15 innings, and their pitching success also extended into the bullpen, with Wainwright playing a crucial role, going 4 for 4 in save opportunities and not allowing a single run in 9 appearances. Together, they rewrote the narrative regarding their season from a team labeled as one that couldn't pitch to one of the most unlikely World Series champions in baseball history. Thank you so much for making it to the end of the video. If you enjoyed, please consider subscribing for more baseball content just like this. And if you'd like to learn how a team labeled as one that couldn't score still managed to win the World Series, then click the video on your screen now.